So it's really weird, and oh god, these are the weird spots, Tasteless.
All right, in the weird spots, and one of them in the upper left, in the blue, he is Bomber. And in the bottom right, in the red, Jaedong.
I'm actually pretty stoked that it's these spots, Tasteless, because you know, if it's like top right versus bottom left, you can get a somewhat more normal game. Like there's still some very strange things about the map and the way it plays out. You know, this is the offbeat map in the set that gives us a lot of our most exciting games. But in these spots, it's just you have to decide how you're going to play. Are you going to try to take that gold base and be greedy because it's very easy to attack, or are you going to take the the third base that's behind the rocks, where you have to kill those rocks to actually transfer correctly, and it might be hard to defend against timing attacks. You know, it's a really hard choice.
I have no idea what's going to happen between these two. I am glad it's the weird spots, though.
Yeah, games are more fun to watch in these spots.
Well, especially if it all comes down to this one game.
Oh yeah,
in this situation,
it does, doesn't it?
It does.
We should just have a rule.
That's our reality.
Labs is map 5 for every match here.
There's a chance that will be the case.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's a good point. Well, we'll see what they open up with. It looks like no gas once again here from Bomber. Just wants to go once again from barracks right into the command center. This really is his style as well. Jaedong, in the meantime, looks like he is going to get a reasonably fast gas with his pull, as has been the case. Maybe going to go for that quick overlord speed once again.
I wonder. You know, that was such a good call in that last game to do that that crazy double racks in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
But Bomber also did some crazy stuff in macro games too, or mid games, where he went for mech and stuff like that. I'm wondering what kind of route he's going to take when we get there, because this is sort of the downtime point in this matchup where we just watch them build up a little bit. I don't think he's going to mech on this map for sure. That would seem like a pretty bad strat.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen mech on this map, to be honest.
I don't think I have. But I would just feel like the distances are so far. How would you really utilize mech? And the Zerg can run all over the map, take up everything.
Well, it looks like we have a third command center, very fast third command center, before any gases or anything off of just 2 Marines.
Really well placed one too.
Yeah.
Tucked right there in the upper left, in between the 2 command centers. So it's going to be tough for an Overlord to actually get over there. It might still get over there, but well placed at least.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he gets his speed upgrade for these Overlords to try to peek in and see. But by the time he would get an upgrade like that, it may be too late to really punish what Bomber's doing here. So once again, Bomber just playing up the fact that he has those early Marines to deny scouting.
All right, well, he's going to just clean up these rocks over here. The Zerg always wants to have as much circulation on the map as possible.
Yeah. And it would make sense for him to clean up those rocks as well, because if you take the gold base as Zerg, you're locking yourself into being aggressive and trying to kill them, because otherwise Terran walks behind your minerals and denies your mining, and that's just too painful for a Zerg.
No, you can't have the gold base unless you also have control of the map.
Yeah.
That is not a turtle spot.
No, certainly not. So he will be taking his third base over on this side. In the meantime, getting that Overlord speed upgrade so he can figure out what exactly is Bomber up to. How exactly do I end up beating him here?
Well, we have the reactor making here. He's just going to keep pumping out SCVs. Jaedong's droning up. We got 26 workers to 37 for now. And it looks like Jaedong is going to take that third in that location where he can connect the second and the third through the destroyed rocks.
Yeah, that's pretty normal play here from Jaedong so far. He's trying to treat the map kind of as a normal map, and once these rocks are gone, it really does become more normal. But where do you actually take your fourth base? Because you're getting closer and closer to Terran after this third.
That's a tough one.
Couple fourth spot locations that he can choose from here, but
these are all...
They're all kind of out of the way, right?
Yeah, and well, the gold one, I guess you kind of want that, but then the position's too hard. The other ones are also so far away. And obviously the fact you can get behind the minerals there is a complete nightmare for the Zerg. So.
Yeah. Well, you can notice he is really focusing heavily on creep spread, as any good Zerg should. You know, if you're not going to play a completely aggressive game, like someone like Leenock or even in the old days July Zerg, you're going to need to get that creep spread out, because without it, you're not going to be able to defend anything.
Well, the Hellions are coming out now, and they're going to check and see what they can find here. We do have some of the tech and more accessible points for the Hellions to actually take a look at. And I think we'll just have to wait and see for the Terran what he's got in store for us. So far, he's doing a pretty standard build. This is like, what was it? Was there our first game we casted?
Yeah.
He did this build? Yeah.
It's pretty darn close, that's for sure. Looks like he's going to go ahead and get that starport up. Has his upgrades going already. The upgrades lined up pretty well overall. You know, that's a very important thing in Terran vs. Zerg. You really need to make sure that the first 1-1 and then 2-2 is lined up.
Yeah.
Because if your opponent gets ahead and actually does an engagement with 2 additional upgrades over you, he'll just win the engagement.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have that be even.
Oh, yeah.
For those first couple upgrades,
okay,
for
so
sure.
we have him going to take the gold here with his command center.
Wow.
This is a pretty bold move here from Bomber. The question is, can Jaedong punish us? Oh, I hope he doesn't actually lose that.
Oh, very nice pickoff there.
This is Jaedong in a nutshell. Is any little thing that you're not on top of, he exploits.
That's a fact right there. You know, he's, once again, I hate to keep saying it, but he is so decisive. He sees something,
he really
he goes
is.
for it. That's it.
Well, what do you think Zerg's going to do to try to punish the Terran with the gold here?
God, you know.
I don't know if there's a lot he can do, but do you have anything in particular?
Well, he's getting Baneling speed right now, and, like, we don't see a Spire, right? So I think what he's going to do is just do maybe a massive flank with Speedling Baneling right after 1-1, because that's actually pretty hard to defend, because you're going down 2 ramps against Terran.
If the Zerg doesn't either stop the gold base or kill all the SCVs or something like that, Jaedong may very well lose this. That's so much more power to the Terran, especially just for Marines Marauders.
Yeah.
He's going to have so much more coming out.
Bomber's macro is about to be insane.
I'm struggling trying to figure out what Jaedong could do like in a very special way, because he can't take his own gold base, because that's actually it's much easier for the Terran to punish the Zerg for taking the gold base on this map than it is for the Zerg to punish the Terran.
Yeah, that is completely true. But you know what? His Baneling speed's about to finish. He started 2-2. He has a good amount of Zerglings and Banelings out. We'll see if he can maybe get something done. His creep spread's pretty far up. Does look like Bomber wants to start dealing with that.
Yeah, and this is a pretty scary army coming out here from Bomber. We do have a Link counterattack, but that's going to be met with the reinforcements here of Bomber.
Yeah, it looks like he'll pick a good amount of them off, and we see that this area not really defended as well as maybe it should be.
Unfortunately, though, these Lings are just killing the Marines. They're down killing the SCVs, and this push has not been stopped yet. He's coming up here. This is going to be a tough one for Jaedong, by the way, but hold that thought. The Baneling's coming down now. Nice spreading here by Bomber, and again, Bomber's control is just too good.
Yeah, actually, nice spreading there, but more and more Lings do come up. These Hellions come up. They're not in Hellbat mode, which is really allowing these Zerglings to do more damage. More Banelings roll up. It looks like Bomber does have to turn around for now, but he did the first part of that push fantastically. A lot of Banelings connected with just one Hellbat.
And, you know, the problem for Jaedong right now is it's not that he's not making enough Banelings or he got too greedy here. It's just that the control from Bomber is so perfect. Now, this is one way to turn this around. To come back over here with the Banelings and actually those SCVs would be huge. But you see Jaedong pull back for a second.
I think it's because that Widow Mine went off. He got scared. If a Widow Mine hits all those Banelings, I mean, that's going to be terrible. It's just too cost efficient for Terran. So he's backing up for now. The creep spread looking absolutely fantastic, and it looks like we do have a medevac going down to maybe drop the main base.
Okay, well, he wasn't very sneaky with that medevac going right through the middle of the map over everything, but it may be more important for him to draw attention into the main with the medevac than it is to actually do damage. He's going to push out here now, and there's just too much of everything Terran here. It doesn't matter what angling the Zerg army gets here.
Oh my God! Ooh, very quick reaction speed here from Bomber, pulling those out, but a lot of Zerglings coming in.
Tried to do a ring around the Rosie there to the around the bunker, but it was not enough. So many SCVs were picked off there. And let's see here, we have a...
Oh, he didn't really pick off too many?
Yeah, I thought he got a lot more than that. Okay, so...
Well, we can look at these supplies tastes. That can probably tell the story a lot better than watching Zerg try to hurt a gold-based Terran ever could. You know, it's 160 for Bomber against 123 for Jaedong, so a little bit rough right now.
Yeah, Bomber, we've seen him win a lot of games like this. He just out-muscles his opponent with a bigger and bigger army over time. Again, Jaedong has the right idea here. He wants to counterattack. He wants to catch his opponent off guard, but Bomber just seems to be everywhere here.
Yeah, we do have a lot of Banelings coming in, but Jaedong loses this fourth base right now.
Didn't quite have all of his Banelings together there.
Yeah. Kind of an awkward engagement for him. Bomber continues to push forward. Jaedong has to crush like probably 2 armies very efficiently to get back to even in this game. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a possibility with how good Bomber's micro is.
Bomber's been getting a bigger and bigger lead pretty gradually here. But yeah, from here, I don't know how he's going to be able to stop that army. It's just too scary. We have the Spire being made. Looks like he's going to try to do this again. Is he going to get in here? He says, if he's just Bomber paying attention.
Oh, doesn't even get the command center. Those Banelings were almost free for Bomber.
Yeah.
Now, the one good thing working out for Jaedong here, even though everything seems bad and like he's really far behind, gold bases mine out very quickly.
That's true. He's going to be dropping all of his mules on that gold base.
Yeah, and he is almost out of minerals there.
Okay, and let's point out something else here, too. This is a big map. They're very far apart. Zerg can still try to get a bunch of expansions in here. Oh, my God. Is this?
Not quite.
No, not quite.
Doesn't quite get the units over that he wants.
This has been Jaedong's fortune here with the Burrow of Banelings not quite in the spots that he wants them to be.
If you get a perfect Baneling landmine, it's actually pretty awesome. But, okay, looks like he's waiting, seeing if he can get some more units over there. Does run in. This is a lot of Speedlings on the counterattack right now.
You know, it's funny. Bomber has no idea this entire map is booby-trapped, and he just hasn't managed to step on the traps.
Yeah. Oh, man. Very unlucky there for Jaedong. Bomber continues to push in. This third base looks like it may go down. Bomber does have to lift his third, but it's almost empty anyways.
I think Bomber can just seal himself off in his main, and meanwhile this army is going to crush everything for Jaedong.
Oh, man. Jaedong has almost nothing left. His supply almost doubled at the moment. That's going to be the best landmine he can get, unfortunately.
This is, it's too much.
Yeah.
You know what? Jaedong's done a good job with his harass and trying to keep the Terran back, but if you can't find an answer to this army, this death ball that is just marching through or destroying all your expansions, you're going to lose the game because eventually that death ball gets to your last building and you die. Meanwhile, he's holed up in his base on low economy.
Yeah, it's very true. You know, Jaedong has fought very well this game, but Bomber's execution of taking this gold base and keeping this gold base for long enough to get a giant army was just too much. And I don't know what Jaedong's real plan is from here. You know, he's kind of sitting in his main base with all his units.
You can't blame the guy for putting up a fight. This is the biggest thing in the whole year.
Yeah, it's a global finals of WCS, and if
crown
he loses
the world
here, he's
champion,
out.
so I don't blame him for trying. But I mean, if you look at the numbers here, it's 183 supply to 95, and if you look at the bottom right side of the mini map, the Zerg's territory is in shambles.
Yeah, he's in a bad spot. Looks like he's going to move out, see what he can get done with this army. It's not a whole lot, though. We even have an additional upgrade now for a Bomber, so he's got that +3 attack, which is just so brutal to fight off as a Zerg.
I do like how when Bomber got the lead, he actually went back and just made more.
Yeah.
To just make sure that that win is cemented. And he doesn't, you know.
Well, when it's 200 supply against 98, even if he gets the best Banelings you've ever seen, you're still going to be okay.
He's just going to wait, I guess, until the rest of his army pops out, and he's going to push with that. Great drops over here behind the minerals. No way for the Zerglings to be, or the Banelings to be as effective with that. Looks like he wants to do another drop over here in the main and probably push at the same time and close this out.
You know, the one reason why Jaedong is still here really battling is he knows that gold base is just about gone, which means Bomber may not be mining hardly at all, but still more than Jaedong is. A drop does come in, not really going to do that much. Bomber really taking his time closing this one out, making sure he doesn't misstep.
This would be, okay, nicely done. And actually only detonating 2. That was really, really nicely done. But as Artos was saying earlier, even if he had the best Baneling landmines in the world, is that really going to be enough? Probably not.
Oh, even scans these ones on top of the ramp. And this is going to be the final engagement of this game. Jaedong throwing all of his units in. It's not going to be enough. And Bomber will walk forward into victory and the round of 8.
GG.
And Bomber
did it.
Ooh. A 3-2 victory over Jaedong, over the Tyrant Zerg himself. And that means that Bomber is the first player and the first seed here to enter into that round of 8 and will play live at BlizzCon.
Really exciting series. I'm glad it did go to Game 5. I really am looking forward to seeing how far Bomber can go now that he is going to be playing at BlizzCon.
It's sad, though. You know, Jaedong did make it to the finals last year and put up a great fight at BlizzCon, but at the end of the day, he falls here in that round of 16.
Yeah, Bomber, he's been really on top of his game lately. You know, last year we were casting Jaedong, getting second. Yeah. It would have been interesting to see, you know, him in the finals again, but unfortunately, Bomber is just the better player.
Well, you know, I think that Bomber is one of these players that is, you know, a lot of people put the favorites down as the players that have played in WCS Korea, which is the GSL. You know, and saying, okay, these guys are the guys that are favored to win, but I think Bomber is one of these guys that actually from the other regions, who you can definitely say, this guy might make it to the finals or even win this thing.
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. Bomber, it just looks so good. That was some of the best splitting I have ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic pulling back, you know, dodging all those banelings because
there are parts where they're zooming out and we're seeing him split his army on what looks like multiple screens at the same time.
How many mice does Bomber play with? I feel like he's one of those gladiators with two swords.
He's the only person who gets to play the game zoomed out like that, apparently. It was pretty crazy.
Just about.
Especially in TVZ, I don't know if Bomber can be stopped. Red Eye, how's Bomber feeling?
Hello there, everybody, and I'm here to do a little bit of analysis there. We'll hear from Bomber in a couple of seconds, Tasteless, but we're going to jump into that fifth game real fast. Just to kind of look at what happened, because it was a really cool series, I thought. Lots of twists and turns, but going into Game 5, in the game of StarCraft, there's always one point where one player is going to take a big lead, and then from there on out can usually close it out. So here we are in Game 5, and if we just pause it for a quick second, what I want to talk about here is the choice of strategy, because that's where I feel the loss was for Jaedong and the victory for Bomber here. The choice of strategy coming into this one from Jaedong was no Spire. Mutalisk are obviously a staple unit in the mid-game of Zerg versus Terran, but he chose not to do that this game. His choice and strategy was more of a surprise kind of style, surprise tactics, where he's dedicating all his gas that usually are in Mutalisk into Banelings. And with this kind of style, what he needs to achieve is either a good counterattack to kill the economy or a surprise attack onto the army. We can play it from here on out and kind of just look at the next minute or so as the big point of the game kind of shows itself. So what we have here is Zerglings to the north, which is for the counterattack. But what must happen by using this style that Jaedong is going to do is he has to kill this army, and surprise, he's got to come from all angles because he's not meant to have that many Banelings. At this point in the game, you're only really meant to have 5 to 10 Banelings, but Jaedong has like 15 plus as he morphs them in now. So with this, he must crush this army. If he crushes this army, then he can counterattack, then he dictates the pace of the game. That's when Jaedong's going to be able to win the game. But unfortunately for him, is the attack in a couple of seconds here. Bomber's like walks onto creep, he says, oh, you got a lot of Banelings, I'll step back a little bit and take a really good fight. You must have the element of surprise here, and if we just look in the next second or so, counterattack kind of works a little bit for Jaedong, but it still needs to be about this fight, which takes place right about now. Actually, if I look on the minimap, it's about to take its shape now. So this needs to be coming from a different angle. It cannot be straight up. Bomber says, okay, it's kind of all right there. And then beautiful splits from Bomber, and he cleans it up easy. And then from this point, he knows exactly what he's playing against because there's not meant to be that many Banelings. He doesn't even lose anything of his army. And then from this point on, Jaedong is just going downhill. He's on 3 bases. He doesn't really have a good economy. He doesn't really have the best setup with going into the later stages. And unfortunately there for Jaedong, that was his big mistake here. The choice of strategy, or maybe rather the execution of the strategy. And then it was all up to Bomber to close up the series, to be honest, and advance there as the first player to BlizzCon. Well, thank you very much for looking at this. It's time to hear some words from Bomber. Red Eye, take it away.
Really?
Thanks, Apollo. We'll hear from Red Eye in just a second. But yeah, that was a great analysis. You know, if you're skipping the mutas, you don't have those late game units, you have to get the damage done. And he just wasn't able to do so.
He was not able to do so. Well, that was a phenomenal series. I really enjoyed that. And I'm really curious, Red Eye, how is Bomber doing?
Finally, I get a chance to talk. I started to think maybe there was a conspiracy going on. The throws were coming to me that they weren't. We've got Smix with us. Thank you for joining us. And Bomber, congratulations. A great win in the end. Did you expect it to be as tough as you ended up having against Jaedong?
일단 이긴 거 축하드리고요. 좀 어렵게 어떻게 보면 이겼잖아요. 3대2로. 그렇게 어려울 거라고 예상하셨나요?
사전 인터뷰에서 뭐 자신 있다고 인터뷰는 했지만 그 전에 WEC에서 3대2로 진 적도 있고 해서 질 수도 있다고 생각은 했어요.
I know that in the pre-match interview, I spoke very, very confidently and said that I was going to win. However, in the last time that I played against Jaedong, I actually did lose to him 3-2, so the possibility that I could lose was in my head, but I just spoke very confidently in the pre-match interview. Now, Bomber, when you were down 2-1, I know that usually when you play, you're extremely confident, and it shows with how dominant you are with your builds. What was going through your head? How were you nervous at all, or were you just trying to stay calm?
그때 2대1로 지고 있을 때 혹시 긴장하셨어요? 아니면 무슨 생각을 하면서 그 다음 경기 시작하셨나요?
저는 일단 2대0으로 지고 있다고 해서 긴장하거나 그러진 않고 경기 중에 점수 신경 쓰면은 경기력이 저하되기 때문에 전혀 그런 부분은 신경을 안 써요.
Even though I was down 2-1, I didn't focus on that aspect at all because as a player, if you get too caught up in that fact, it starts to affect your performance. And so because of that, when I was in that situation, I didn't focus on that at all, and I just went into the next game. And speaking of that game, you chose to go Proxy 2RX, which is a very risky build, especially when you're one game away from dropping out of the tournament. So why did you choose to go for such a risky build?
그 경기에서 좀 위험한 빌드를 선택하셨잖아요. 그 전략을 왜 선택했어요?
제가 근 1년 동안 그 전진 명령을 안 했기 때문에 이번에 쓰면은 상대가 예측을 못할 거라고 생각을 했고 그게 잘 통해서 초반에 유리하게 시작한 것 같아요.
So he says, for this past year, I feel like I haven't really utilized that type of proxy strategy. So I thought that if I went for that strategy, my opponent, Jaedong, would not expect it. And I believe that's actually why it works so well, and I started the game with such a heavy advantage. Now, Jaedong, we just mentioned earlier, this wasn't the easiest series for you. You won on a hard-fought 3-2. When you were 2-2 against Jaedong, loading into that fifth map, as it counted down 3, 2, 1, what went through your head?
이해하셨어요? 그 다섯 번째 경기 시작하기 전에 이제 카운트다운이 있잖아요. 이제 3, 2, 1 그렇게 될 때 무슨 생각이 드셨어요?
빌드 생각하고 있어요.
So he says, I was just focusing on the build that I was going to do.
그리고 원래 쓰려던 빌드가 있었는데 제동이가 자꾸 오버로드 속업을 해서 들어와서 빌드를 수정했어요.
And he says, there was actually a build that I originally planned to do, but I noticed that Jaedong kept going for really fast overlord speed and scouting everything, so I decided to just scrap that. And last question about that game, we noticed that Jaedong went for a lot of Zerglings and no Mutalisks. Why do you think that he chose to do that against you?
아무래도 제가 해병 불곰 위주로 병력을 구성하기 때문에 아마 그 구성에 대한 맞춤 플레이 같아요.
He says, I'm pretty sure he did that because whenever, with my play style, I really like to focus on a lot of Marines. So if he had chosen to go for Mutas, I think he knew that my Marines would have just killed them to smithereens, and that's why he chose to go for that Zergling build, even though it didn't work out. Well, Bomber, congratulations on making it to the live stage at BlizzCon next week, and best of luck.
Thank you very much, Sue, and congratulations, Bomber, as well. Well done. We will see Bomber again next week when we head to the arena at Anaheim. It will be the round of 8, and Bomber is the first man to reach that. Who he's going to play, we're going to find out next, because MMA goes up against Stardust, 2 European champions from WCS in 2014. Don't forget, you can still get your ticket for the Anaheim arena, and also, here's a cool thing, you can enter the phrase Red Eye. This is like on the quiet, don't tell anyone. Enter Red Eye as a code and you'll get 20% off.
Smix as well.
Or Smix. Either one works, but you haven't heard it from us. Top secret. You can get your tickets still right now. Make sure you go to Eventbrite and search for the WCS finals. Don't forget, you can also keep interacting with us. We'd love to see your tweets. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the games. Let us know what you think about Jaedong versus Bomber, and also your thoughts on the European matchup that we've got next. Hashtag WCS at StarCraft on Twitter and /StarCraft on Facebook. As I said, it's a clash of WCS European champions, and it's coming next.